Well, where am I? I think I'm...
Well, I mean, you get off the plane and then you're not dizzy enough to know where you are. You're somewhere in Toronto, and this is on track audio.
And I'm in a basement somewhere in Toronto.
You're in a basement?
You can still breathe, right?
Before we go too far, though, we have to introduce you. A lot of people don't... I know who you are. Lots of people should know who you are, especially if they've been in the hobby a long time. But we need you to introduce yourself to those who don't know you yet.
Well, I'm Gilbert Yeung of Angela-Gilbert Yeung, and I'm going by Angela-Gilbert Yeung on Facebook and on social media now.
Okay.
And the brand is Angela-Gilbert Yeung.
And you have a YouTube channel as well.
I have a YouTube channel, it's Angela-Gilbert Yeung.
And I've actually previewed my subwoofer amp, which we've gone to. You're actually going to be the designer of it, but we'll get to that pretty soon. But wanted to showcase where we are, which is actually a dealership for George Taylor. Entracte Audio is how you pronounce it?
Welcome to Entracte Audio. That's how you pronounce it.
Great. Yeah. I want to take a look here because this is a really cool room. And maybe, George, you want to give an official tour? I've kind of got the lay of the land.
If we're going to do an official tour, let's start in this room.
Okay. This is a cool room.
This was the Entracte Audio, the only Entracte Audio showroom once upon a time. It's now turned into... This is a place where I try things. This is a place where I try things. This is kind of a reference room, and I mean, generally speaking, these speakers, these ATC speakers, stay in here. An old Wadea CD.
Yeah, this is when Wadea was really the bee's knees. Yeah,
and actually a legacy
vintage
product. This is a Blue Circle AG 3000 DAC. It's almost 25 years old.
Wow.
And it's still a great sounding DAC.
With the custom faceplate, that's really nice.
Yep.
I need to correct the model numbers. AG 9000.
That's an AG 3000 is the preamp. Yeah, well, you know, it's been 25 years.
Okay, we're not that old.
Yeah, I am. So yeah, AG 9000 preamp, or sorry, AG 9000 DAC. And I mean, the reason I use this as a reference is because it sounds great, first of all. It still sounds great. And the other thing is I know exactly what it sounds like.
Right.
So I know what that sounds like.
Yeah, this would still be suitable in any cost, no object system, I think.
It sure would. And then I know what these sound like. So tons of power conditioning in here. And I mean, the next thing that's probably going to get tested a little bit in here with different speakers, obviously, but the funky. But we'll get to the funky later.
Yeah, we're going to let... this be a preview, but a whole section on this to come. Let's talk about, well, Star Wart. this is pretty cool. Where did you get that?
Well, actually, Angela-Gilbert brought that back from Hong Kong for me.
Okay, so it's a knockoff.
Ladies market in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not a knockoff. It's not. It's like it's not a counterfeit.
It's not a counterfeit. Okay. Okay.
It's official Lele.
You got me fooled. So you carry ATC, which is a very high-end speaker, both active and passive models.
And it's interesting because ATC is really cool because it's got models from the SCN7, which is not that expensive, to the SCM 300, which is really expensive, and it's got amplifiers, good company. And the nice thing about this stuff is the sonic profile is consistent. I mean, it gets better and better and better on up the line, but you know what you're moving to. You know where you know kind of what the sound profile is going to be, and it's predictable, which is pretty cool, because a lot of speaker lines, this model sounds like this, and this model sounds like that, and that can make things just a wee bit tough.
A lot of companies are going to active models now, like these, but they've been doing it for a long time.
Yes.
So, yeah, they were on the forefront of that. So, yeah, this is a cool room. Got a vintage Blue Circle power supply there.
Yep.
But, yeah, let's get to some of the other cool stuff. There's just so much.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. So I've got Heed, which is a company from Europe, and I do amplifiers with them because they make a nice cost-efficient amplifier.
Aqua. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I know people that own that. They're very happy with that.
It's good stuff. And then we come out here to what's become the main showroom, and we have other things. We have more ATC. We have fine audio.
Yeah, so people that don't know much about fine audio, it's kind of like a descendant related to the Tannoy people at some point.
Essentially, yeah. It's a slightly more interesting story than that, but I won't go into that.
Okay.
none of my beeswax.
A pair showed up at a local dealer in Houston where I was, and it moved pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's got a different aesthetic vibe than Tannoy, which can be polarizing to certain people,
Yep.
and I'm sure there's some difference in the sound quality. I didn't get a chance to listen, but yeah.
I mean, the original concept of this was basically the design team had a new idea for a speaker that they wanted to develop through Tannoy, and Tannoy said, we don't really want to do it, and the guys on that part of the design team said, yeah, you know what, we really do want to do it, and off they went and did it.
Interesting. Well, yeah, it seems like it's been a success so far.
Yep.
Let's talk about real quickly. I was talking to you about your room treatments because I hadn't seen these foam cylinders before, and relatively speaking, not that expensive. You source some relatively close to here in Canada, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can get them. They're about, if I go and pick them up, they're about an hour and a half away from me, and it's fair, for what it does. It's fairly inexpensive stuff. It's pedestrian looking, but man, it's effective. It's really effective, especially these guys for absorbing bass. I mean, the flat panels. It's 2 or 2.5 inch foam. It's fantastic for stopping things bouncing around too much. It's really, and you build yourself a little system out, a couple of foam cylinders, a few flat panels, and you've got yourself, a decent little absorption system that doesn't break the bank, but it's incredibly effective.
Yeah, now that I've been showing on my channel, just even small different types of room treatments can make a measurable impact of in-ear measurements I've been taking. And so, yeah, these could be a cost-effective way to have a lot of treatment. Yeah. Companies like ASC and others create really nice stuff, but that's a different price point. You were saying about for like a 12-inch diameter.
Yeah. Talking one of these would be about, I'd have to charge about $250 Canadian for it.
No, that's not bad, yeah.
But it's, I mean, two of them, put one in one corner, one in the other corner. If you're in a small room, you're kind of done.
Yeah, 250 Canadians, what, $5?
I had to get. We should check the currency exchange.
No, I did the currency exchange because I picked up some Canadian. It's not that bad, but
down to 437.
I just had to say it. Okay, we got another cool funky piece. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, another fine right here.
Yeah.
This one's in your reference spot now. F18.
And this is for me kind of the sweet spot of fine. This is the stuff I really like. It's not too big. It's expensive, but not crazy expensive, and it's very good sounding. The most exorbitantly expensive things about this are the stands. I mean, the stands alone are about $2,000, and I hate to say it, they're expensive. And they're really important to the sound of this particular speaker. They make the speaker work properly.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically part of the cabinet, so you got to factor in. Yep. That's what most speakers, they cost what they do because of the cabinet. So,
and these ones are screwed right down onto the plinth here, so
they are screwed on. Okay,
yeah, they're hard attached. Yep.
The finish is beautiful.
Yep.
So, what do these run about?
These would run about, now, because they just changed the price, probably about, with the stands, probably about $15,000 Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's take a look at what else you got. You got the Fink Team.
Fink Team. This is the Fink Team Kim.
Let me put on the flash here so you can see a little better. I've featured them. They've been at several shows over the past few years, making a splash.
And it's a surprisingly, I mean, it doesn't look very imposing, right? It kind of looks like just a big monitor, but man, it throws a sound. It's cool. It's got
unique porting.
Yeah, it's got unique porting, and the other thing is it's got both a high frequency control and damping factor control. Except I don't know if I touched the right one in the right time. Now this is the damping factor control. No, that's the high
damping
control.
Is on the left.
I got it right. Yeah. So this is the high frequency control, and this is the damping factor control, and it really helps you suit the speaker to your amp in your room. It's a great little box.
Yeah, that's unique porting too, up near the tweeter.
Yep.
So yeah.
And it's interesting because you wouldn't think that these guys need a lot of room to breathe, but they need some space. Okay,
you want to put them out in the room, and the tweeter height is fairly low, isn't it?
It is fairly low. And now the tweeter itself is actually fairly long. It's about 4 or 5 inches long.
Yeah.
And it disperses actually pretty nicely. It doesn't beam. It's not the type of thing where you have to where I mean, you have to be cognizant of where you're sitting back from the speakers more because of the overall tonal picture. But the speaker, the tweeter itself disperses beautifully.
So is that a proprietary driver they're using?
Yep, it's their own design.
Okay,
yep.
Cool. All right, now for the headline, at least why I came today in Toronto. Is one of the reasons I actually came to the Toronto Audio Fest was to check out Gilbert's stuff that used to be the Blue Circle, and I knew of your stuff back when you created in a room. I remember it still, of the hundreds of shows, thousands of rooms, you created an amplifier out of music pumps. I mean, ladies' pump shoes, and you called them the music pumps.
Yep.
And then I saw a video where you were featuring them, one of your dealers, and that's how I reconnected with you, which we'll get to what else we're going to be doing soon. But yeah, let's walk through maybe your history for people, brief history of, if they don't know you from Blue Circle, just a little bit of that, but now what you've transitioned to.
Back then at Blue Circle, I started the company in '88, and very first product is the single-ended hybrid power amp BC2, and I moved on to the Class AB hybrid amp and solid-state amp. And in 2004, I started the music pumps because I'm getting a little tired of making square boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta do something different. And as is pointed out, George and I talked this morning, I always like to do something different. I'm actually starting to ask myself, am I an artist first or am I an audio engineer first? Am I an artist first and happen to like audio? So I start the music pumps, and you caught the music pumps, and then within that 2004 and now I did a lot of things. I paint clothes, I did a lot of artwork,
right,
and I did a lot of different things in audio, and I closed down Blue Circle in 2019, and after half a year I come back up with under the new name Angela-Gilbert Yeung, and there is a documentary about the reason behind it.
Yeah, I want to link your channel and that video as well. I'll put it in the description for people to get caught up that want to know more details. But yeah, that's a good summary. And obviously, one of the other reasons I came to see you is that for the first time, you're going to be dressed crazier than me. I was hoping you'd be at the show because I get the most grief for what I wear, but you would probably get more.
You are tame.
I know. Well, wait, I've got wilder outfits. Today is just travel day. I just traveled. So and I'll send you pictures of Halloween next week. But we don't want to get too sidetracked. Let's look at how cool your new line is. I really like this aesthetic vibe that is unique, but still could fit with almost anybody's taste. Let me turn on the light here, because these face plates are not uniform. You said there's a reason, you designed.
So that's a DAC. On the left side, it's all squares and steps. That's a digital signal. And after the Blue Circle, that's a smooth.
Okay.
Sine wave, analog sine wave.
Right.
And if you look closer, that's a sine wave.
Yep.
And that would be a converter symbol.
Yep.
And that's a digital signal.
That's cool. Yeah. So really cool. This would fit in anybody's decor, but also gives you a unique look that nobody else is doing. So yeah, kudos to this new look for the new line. What do we have here?
That's a preamp. That's a C312 adjustable that you have a dial for warm switch and tube simulator in a solid state. You can adjust those buttons to suit your taste and your music. But
in terms of a tube simulator, there's actually tubes in there?
Nope. That's what we call tube simulator.
Okay.
There is no tube in there. They're all solid state.
Okay.
But it actually gives you the tube characteristic.
That's cool. Very cool. Because, yeah, one of the themes of your stuff, at least now, is you have a lot of adjustability and tailoring the sound. Because so many people hear differently, as I've often talked about on my channel. We all have different ears, different tastes, different music taste. Having the ability to tailor it to your room and your taste is huge. What's down here? Is this a power supply? Or
that's the AC power line conditioner. On the left is roughly noisy AC power.
Yeah, okay.
And then, again, after the Blue Circle, you get a smoother AC power.
Interesting. Okay, cool. And you mainly use capacitors to smooth out the AC power. Is that
Yes.
not transformers?
Correct.
Okay. What do we have over here?
That's the integrated amp, and that's a little bit more tame in terms of graphic.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's clean and nice. Really cool.
Yeah. And the bottom is also at the entry level integrated amp. As George always don't like that word, but it is his entry level. It's my entry level.
Right. And what price points are we talking about here, generally speaking?
That integrated amp is about $3,000 US,
Okay.
and that's entry level. And then the bigger integrated amp is $4,500, and then also US dollars. And the power line conditioner, that one I believe is about $3,000, and the C312 is $6,300.
Okay.
And then the deck on top is $4,500.
Yeah. So that's all reasonable in today's world of pricing. And you also provide upgrade paths with these.
External capacitor, external power pack like this one.
Yeah, so maybe we should walk through that because, yeah, you don't have to buy a whole new chassis and dealer markup and all that. When you want to upgrade, you found what you think is a very meaningful upgrade through adding capacitance.
Yes, and
to both the power and the signal side.
Yeah, it's also plug and play, and you don't have to send the piece of gear back to the factory. No. You just buy the box and then plug it in.
You can plug in these extra capacitors.
Yep.
One uses a power con,
Yep.
and one uses an XLR.
Yeah, power con is for the higher power output stage, and the XLR is for the line stage.
Gotcha.
And it's basically foolproof. You can't go wrong.
And this is a lot of capacitance we're talking about, right?
Well, I mean, this one here is half a farad of capacitance.
Okay,
500,000
500,000.
microfarads.
Okay.
This one, same. This is called an SP capacitor pack.
Okay.
The SP capacitor pack we use on the input stage, right? So this one's half a farad. This one is 3.6 farads.
Wow.
And we have experimental capacitor pack right on top of that shelf on your left hand side. That one is 100 farad.
This.
Nope.
Oh.
There we go. Nope, the salad bowl.
Nope.
Oh, this.
Yeah, the colander, yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's 100 farad.
So let's talk about this real quick. Your soldering technique and the use of silicone, it's not just for aesthetics and your use of bus bars. I think that's another important part to talk about with your designs that make you unique.
The bus bars are the most important thing. They're incredible.
It is I would actually say part of the secret sauce.
Is that right?
The soldering. Because on the PC board, it's always a little thin joints with legs in a thin joints, and you have a little bit of solder, and that is the weakest part of the components. And we have so many weak points on each PC board. By improving the weakest point of the link, you improve everything.
Makes sense. So you use quite a bit of solder in each joint, is that? Yes. Which is kind of counterintuitive.
Sometimes they're actually laying 2 to 3 layers of solder.
Is that right?
It depends on where the solder joint is, because one layer of solder is usually smaller than a bus bar I use. Then why using a big bus bar and then you have a tiny little joint? It's almost like a fuse. So you have to make the joints big enough to incomparable to the bus bar. So
you're doing it for both strength and performance purposes.
Yes.
Okay, which makes sense. Okay, so this is on a small scale. We don't have really that many bus bars here, but
the bus bar has been covered.
Yeah. Now your use of silicone is both for sometimes aesthetic, but also resonant character.
Damping.
Instead of having feet on the gear on the outside and shelving and stuff like that, you're damping at the actual component level.
Yep. Because one of the main components that actually make the vibration is the transformer. Transformer is already inside. So if you're damping just the outside of the chassis, the transformer is still shaking inside with other components.
Gotcha.
So when I mount the transformer, I always have a silicone washer at the bottom, which I actually squeeze silicone in it to form the shape of the transformer, because the transformer have multiple wire and they lump.
Interesting.
So when I put silicone on it, the silicone will sip into between the gap between the lumps, so they form a uniform shape. They will have 100% contact surface area. But if we just put a piece of rubber washer like most most manufacturers would do, that piece of washer is not going to be contact 100%.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I think we brought down a piece from your car that had silicone everywhere in it. Maybe we'll show that one as well. But I don't want to go too far before we talk about the project we're doing together. Subwoofer amp. I had originally contacted you about the music pumps and nostalgia purposes, maybe doing that. But then it just made total sense as I'm building my own passive subwoofer to have an amp made. And so brainstorming based on where I was at the Sphere in Vegas, and I got the idea of this, and you thought that would be a great chassis for a power supply.
Yep, and then your cowboy hat is perfect fit.
And then we'll put my cowboy hat on top. And then the color scheme may be of my logo colors. So
I'm actually thinking about, like blue in the middle. It's like red top.
That's going to be cool.
It's actually going to look a little bit like a lava lamp, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah. Well, with the cowboy.
Yeah. Don't give out too much.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, we got to leave something to the imagination. And then, but this was not big enough to hold the entire amp. So we had also thought about some vintage slot machines and stuff to make an amp. But then what really came to my mind was these portable grills, barbecue pits. I just thought instead of the grill, the heat sink from the amp could actually simulate looking like a grill. And then this is actually a pretty cool chassis.
Yep.
That we can do some unique things that I don't want to disclose all of them just yet. And then we'll have an umbilical to the power supply. So this will be one of a kind, crazy. It'll define funky, at least for me. But I know, let's take a look at one of your funky creations that's all you, and then you can tell us more about your inspiration of why you go to this length sometimes with your funky line.
This is actually a prototype. It's not a sellable funky.
Okay.
There are other sellable funky that I do. This one is open frame. I have a pair of Great Plain Audio 604 that require a low damping factor, small wattage to actually sound great. And then I thought, okay, well, you know what? I want to make it sound good, so I did a prototype. I designed this amp for high efficiency speaker, horn loaded speaker, and like before, I don't want to keep building boxes after boxes.
Right.
And I need color. Color just bring out the happiness, and then why we listen to music? We want to be happy.
No, and we see it with your jacket that you made, which is cool, and your shoes. And of course, obviously, these kind of things are polarizing, but it's so cool and unique. But there's also purpose behind some of these things, like we talked about the silicone. You've also protected the high voltage parts with the silicone, so somebody touching it doesn't have a higher risk.
Yep.
Yep,
and then you can also see silicone feet here. These are all silicone feet.
Okay, and you've got a handle to make it easy to pick up too.
Yep.
So that's cool. Now, your high capacitance, obviously some people are going to ask a couple of questions. Safety after turn off, you said it'll play for about 30 seconds after, but you don't really have anything you have to worry about touching. Now on startup, is there any kind of inrush that you have to worry about, or soft startup?
Yep, of course not by the user.
Okay.
Because I already have automatic circuit to take care of the soft start.
Okay.
It will actually monitor where the power supply rail is, as it will go up to about 80-90% before it go to full power. So everything is taken care of automatically.
Okay. Yeah.
So the user have nothing to worry about it.
Yeah, these are it might look like it's a fragile piece, but you're known for your reliability, but also you're known for customizing, like we were talking about. Maybe talk about some of the little dials that you have, the ability to change the damping factor.
That's another adjustable things, and these two dials actually change the damping factor of the amp to suit a different speaker. And some speaker like higher damping factor, some like lower damping factor, and they make it sound different. And also depends on the room too.
Okay.
So it's also, this one also have other adjustable features to tune the sound a little bit. And
even this is a knob here, right?
That's the input level adjustment to suit different gain, different sensitivity of the speaker. And then if you turn down the level, you have a lot more play on the one control. That's one of the common issues of a lot of people saying, like, they turn the one control up to 7 o'clock and blasting.
Yeah. So
that
yeah,
you
exactly.
can turn down the gain of this amp. So it's
adjustable gain is that's really powerful, because if you change speakers, sometimes that becomes a problem. People didn't budget for more efficient speakers versus less efficient, and then you've got that problem you just talked about with the volume control not controlling it. So that's, again, thinking of everything. This may look like a mess, may look like amateur hour. This is actually very sophisticated, very high end, very well done. Pedigree that goes back to in the 90s you started, you said? Or
early 90s.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad. If you haven't got a chance to meet Gilbert or have any Blue Circle products in the past, this may be his new iteration, either in the standard or the funky, depending on your taste profile, maybe something you want to check out. I'll have a lot more in the future, probably do some more on the subwoofer amp. And I want to thank George as well for the tour. And maybe the other thing is you've been hungry. You want to eat, right? We better wrap this up.
Yeah. Can we eat now?
I hear a stomach growling. So, all right, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
Bye.